Hi, Paul James Kearney is my name. I was born in 1987. I'm 36 years old. Today's date is the 8th of July 2024. I'm the son of an accountant and a nurse. And I guess initially I went into biotechnology in science. And I didn't finish it. After 3.5 years I left. I don't think science is too different from art because they're both highly observational disciplines, so it's really about being hyper aware of the world around you. They're both very analytical disciplines, and there's no real underlying theme to my work other than I'm kind of drawn to interesting compositions, and I will use photos as a reference, and I will look at something I find interesting, photograph it on my phone, and then use that photo as a reference point. But it's more about composition, I suppose. I guess from my childhood then I was always kind of into art. I mean, I've been drawing pretty much since I could hold a pencil, as long as I can remember. And I was always encouraged from an early age. I always went to art classes, and I remember when I was quite young, my grandfather was very into fishing, and he'd take me with him to Connemara, which is an area of outstanding natural beauty in the west of Ireland, which is where I grew up, just outside Galway City. But yeah, he'd fish, and I would have an easel and watercolors and paint. Like, they were by no means great, but you know, you have to make a lot of bad art to make good art, and I think it comes from making a lot of rubbish that you actually get decent, I don't want to say museum quality because that's kind of, but yeah, like decent quality works that, you know, you can sell, that would be good enough for a public or a corporate collection. But yeah, I really started from Connemara. Also, I grew up around my grandparents had a lot of mainly Southeast Asian and kind of South Korean, Indonesian, Japanese art growing up. So I kind of grew up around that, and one artist in particular who I'll talk about later really did influence my work because it was always my favorite artwork that they had. But yeah, I also did art for the Leaving Cert, which was the the Irish equivalent of the A-levels. Yeah, so I guess I've always been encouraged, and probably my biggest encourager was my father's sister, Nora, who was a psychoanalyst. She actually challenged myself and my brother once at her home in Cork, where she produced a piece of paper for both of us and asked us to draw something. And I think I was about 7, and my brother copied something from her own art collection, and I just did a very naive rough drawing in charcoal of her garden, and she ended up buying it off me. So I think it was from a very early age I realized that I could actually possibly, if I really wanted to, make a living out of this. And to be honest, I'm not really motivated by money. I could probably, if I wanted to make a lot of money, work in investment banking or something like that. But I don't really care that much about that. And I kind of thrive on the challenge of making a living as an artist. I mean, you need a lot of grit and you need a lot of perseverance. Question, who are my biggest influences? So I'd say Henri Matisse, Edward Villiard, who else? Hieronymus Bosch, Jack B. Yeats. It's probably a bit of a cliche, that one. Dexter Dalwood, British painter, really love his work. also my favorite artwork from my grandparents' collection is by an Indonesian expressionist. My granduncle picked it up in Bali in '67. And I have it here just to show as an example of the kind of art I grew up around. So this is it. It's 4 Balinese dancers, and I've made a really feeble copy of it, but yeah, it's by Effendi. He's probably one of the most, I wouldn't say, well, famous Indonesian artists, but it really is a museum quality piece, and it's definitely influenced me. I love the combination of green and red. It comes up a lot in my own work, and yeah, I think it's quite unique, and I think it's pretty special. So, like, I was always fascinated by that growing up. I'm just afraid to damage it now, but it's fine where it is. So yeah, those would be my biggest influences. And obviously, to be honest, my biggest influence would probably be cityscapes and nature. I'm a bit obsessed with architecture. And I love gardens and the natural landscape. I make gardens a lot. Probably the biggest challenge right now for me as an artist is finding time to make new work. I've had a pretty busy time since October 2023. I've been basically showing in a different city every month. Sao Paulo, Milan, Dublin, twice, Paris, London. Yeah, it's been tough, but I have a solo show in Gimpo, which is kind of just outside Seoul. It's in Seoul metropolitan area, but it's not in the city centre. At the, I don't even know how to pronounce it, the Song CZONG Institute of Contemporary Art. And I've proposed a series of large-scale works, cityscapes, looking at the sort of urban landscape of Korea and also of cities that have a large Korean diaspora. So, you know, you've got Koreatown in Los Angeles, you've got Koreatown in Manhattan, you've got the largest Korean diaspora in Osaka in Japan. So I'm looking at those kind of urban areas, and that's the underlying unison within them, and I have until June 2025 to get those together and get them shipped out. And I've never, well, I have made artworks that big, but painting in the traditional sense, I think since 2016, or no, 2015, so 9 years now, I've been focusing exclusively on digital artwork. So I guess with every sort of technological revolution in humanity comes new ways of making art. So I mean, you look at the Industrial Revolution, you had tube paint for the first time, so that gave rise to plein air painting, it gave rise to heavy impasto, like when you look at, well, that's not a good example of heavy impasto, but you look at Jack B. Yeats, he really laid it on thick, and that wasn't possible before tube paint. And that came with the Industrial Revolution, and now we're in the tech revolution. So with that comes new ways of making art. Now I have a few orders that I need to, well, some of them I need to frame, and some of them I just need to send off to various parts of the world. But I guess this is one. That's kind of what they look like when they're printed out. I print them as one-off prints on museum quality paper, and that's just like Manhattan. I was there in 2022. I had a show in Philadelphia, and I just fell in love with Manhattan. Like, I love cityscapes, I love cities. I mean, you know, anything can happen, anything is possible, good or bad, but I just find that really, I don't know, I just get energy off cities, and I was really drawn to these sort of new, super slim skyscrapers in Midtown East around Lenox Hill. And I just think, yeah, it's very kind of futuristic, and I thought it was cool. Also, this is actually one that exists already. It's in a private collection in London of an opera singer and musician, and he teaches piano. It's actually out of the room I'm in, of a dining room, but one of his students is an autistic girl who teaches piano, and she's obsessed with this artwork. So like I usually just do one of one, like as in no other, but I thought it'd be nice just to give it to her as a gift, seeing as though she likes it so much, just a smaller version. I did a lot of portraits during COVID, and this is one I did of a couple from a selfie they took. That's going to Oxford. This is one I particularly like. It's kind of one of my iPad drawings of a Connemara landscape, which is where it all started really, so it's kind of nice to go back to that. And probably one I get a lot of people asking me about is what I did that I sold to Villanova University, so it's in their art collection. And then I just have to tell them, you know, it's only one of one. That's going to the manager of the Salt House in Galway, our really sound guy, Connor. And this is a very rough version of, well, my own version of The Garden of Earthly Delights by Hieronymus Bosch. And it was actually featured in a government journal in the UK, so I'm going to gift it to the PhD student at the Royal College of Surgeons who you know, put that forward. I think it's always good to, you know, express gratitude and, you know, thank people when it's due, even if it's something small. Like when people buy my artwork, if they're spending a lot of money, I'm going to take them for lunch or dinner, or at least a drink, because those people might buy your work again. Two major challenges, and that is money, not gonna lie, but it does get better as you get more progress. Like I've been a full-time artist now for 8 years with short bouts of what I would call regular employment when it's necessary. And then the other challenge is finding time to make new work. Like, to be honest, just being in the studio is just what I want. I am a bit stressed at the moment because I'm kind of running out of work to show, and like, yeah, it's not easy, but you know, you just have to do it. What advice would you give your younger self? I would say get over yourself, no one cares. Have you ever tried any unconventional mediums or techniques? Yes, my iPad drawings, I just use my finger and the screen. I had an ex buy me a stylus, and well, it's good for getting precision. I think sometimes mistakes are good, and you know, it's I think like perfection is overrated. Like, what is perfection anyway? That's not what I'm striving for. I mean, I see people, they make artworks, and you know, it's almost like they're trying to predict what people will like or what people will buy. I couldn't care less about that. I mean, I'll make the kind of work I want to see, and if people like it, great. If they don't, well, I don't really care. Do you listen to music, or have you any other type of background noise while you work, or do you prefer complete silence? To be honest, like, I would either listen to Boiler Room Berlin sets, kind of like deep house, or techno, and kind of get into a creative flow and kind of lose track of time, or I listen to like Handel's Water music. There's no in between. What is the best reaction someone has had to your work? Okay, so my last, well, my last solo show in Ireland was at Family House in Dublin, which is a state guest house, and it was built by the Guinness family. And I did my whole graduate show on sort of parodying Irish drinking culture. So I looked at one of the biggest drinking events of the year, but it's in English culture as well. Irish people tend to get the blame though, but we won't go into that. But I looked at the Galway races, and I obviously looked at kind of like Ascot and Cheltenham, and how, you know, they start off being really like proper, and then they kind of, as the day goes on, they turn into like, you know, people fighting and puking up their chips and whatnot. So it was kind of a parody of that, and I thought it was funny. I had a solo show on drinking culture in Ireland, in a location that was paid for by drinking culture, because it was the Guinness family that built Family House. And one of the guys, I had a book, I didn't get to meet him, but he wrote, I could see myself in my wife's younger days in all of your paintings, and I thought that was the best reaction I got, because he wasn't taking it too seriously. I think some people took it too seriously. It's like you're painting Irish people in a bad light. But if you can't laugh at yourself, like, I mean, you're living life wrong. What do you hope people take away from your artwork? That's not really my business. I think it's, I think what's important is they enjoy it. Hopefully it holds their attention. I think I try and make work that holds someone's attention for more than 30 seconds. I mean, we're all so, our attention spans nowadays, because the technology is just nil. So if I can hold someone's attention for longer than 5 seconds, I think that's a successful artwork. And I also hope that my work will be relevant in 100, 200 years time, and beyond. That'd be great. Even just a handful of them. You know, because it's really the people who buy it, or the collections it goes into, whether it be the Irish State Art Collection or a university's collection. It's the preservers that make an artwork special, I guess.